affiliations and start aligning themselves with the country. Because as you know, when something affects the people, it's not the political party who suffers. It's not the colors that are faced with hardship, but it is the people. So once again, I'd like to welcome all of you to the broadcast. Of course, this is Hardtalk here on Fire 107.7 FM. And today we are discussing one of the major issues, or some of the major issues, because sometimes you choose to discuss one thing, but the discussion flows out of necessity in so many other directions. And not because what you're saying is at the point is not important, but because it is necessary. And the discussion is warranted. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome all of my listeners, my loyal listeners, always here with me. Those of you joining in on the 107.7 FM frequency on your radio, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for joining us here on Fire 107.7 FM. Those of you tuning in on the Fire FM 107 link, good afternoon to you as well. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the broadcast. And those of you popping up on the Facebook Live, and those of you who will take the time out to watch on the YouTube channel later on, if you've missed this broadcast, you're not left behind. We know you're there. We know you're watching. We see the views. Good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to seek us out. Welcome to Hard Talk. Today is Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. And today we are discussing the budget. Now, guys, I have a special treat for you. I have a special treat. Tomorrow, Thursday, April 30th, I am inviting two members of the opposition, the political leader, Mr. Honorable Alan Shastney, and also the deputy political leader, Senator Dominic Fady, to come in and give us a more comprehensive view of the budget and what it means for every St. Lucian household. I want to invite all of you, my loyal listeners, to share the word and come and hear from people who are actually in the room, the policy makers themselves. Come and hear what they think about the budget and how they believe it is going to affect, good or bad, positive or negative, the average citizen of St. Lucia. This will be a special show, well, I can't say special report because that has already been taken. The legendary, late, gone but not forgotten Lisa Joseph had a show called Special Report on DBS. So this is not going to be special report. This is just talking shop. Myself and the two leaders of the United Workers' Party just sitting down to have a discussion on the merits of the budget and the policies and how the average St. Lucian is going to be affected by these policies. So guys, I would like to invite you, one and all, to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. for this very special discussion or dissection of the 2026-2027 budget presentation. You're all invited. Please come and learn. Again, Fire FM is a platform geared towards intelligent discussion on pertinent issues. So I invite you to come in, join the discussion, learn about the budget, what it means for you as a citizen of St. Lucia, what it means for you, how is it going to affect your bottom line. I know one of the very big issues is cost of living and how it will affect your pocketbook. So again, take this opportunity, guys, tomorrow 10 a.m. right here on Fire FM to join the discussion and learn about these policy decisions that are being made on our behalf and how we, the people, we, the electorate, are going to be affected by these decisions. Don't forget, and I'm going to post it, I did promise you that I would bring you further insight into the budget, and I am making good on that promise. So again, guys, join myself, political leader Alan Shasney, and Senator Dominic Fady, one from the upper house, one from the lower house, as we do a deep dive into the budget and what it means for every St. Lucian household. So there you go. I promised you this, and I am delivering. Now, today on Hardtalk, we're still on the budget, but we're talking about we're shining light, and we're seeking clarity on certain policy statements that were made by the Prime Minister. Now, I took the opportunity to peruse the pre-cabinet press briefing because I wanted to get a deeper understanding of certain pronouncements that the Prime Minister made during the budget and afterwards. And one of the things that the Prime Minister took the time to explain was the $1,000 one-time payment for new mothers. Of course, Prime Minister Philip G. Pierre felt the need to respond to what he deems as unfair public pressure. Mixing my words today. Don't know what's wrong. Maybe I ate too fast. So, unfair public pressure being and public scrutiny in his mind being generated by that one proposal in the budget. According to the Prime Minister, his words are being misconstrued. People don't understand what was the rationale behind making such a pronouncement. And of course, in all fairness, in all things fair, and in the spirit of accountability, transparency, truth, and integrity, I decided to give the Prime Minister a listening ear and find out what he really meant. And I have to admit, guys, I'm still confused. I don't understand how the Prime Minister expects anyone to take away anything different from what he said. And maybe, just maybe, if I bring his reasoning to you, the public, maybe you guys will get a different understanding, because my interpretation of the pronouncement might not be yours. And I felt that it was fair to listen. But after I listened, I still have the same questions. So firstly, the Prime Minister said that the $1,000 payment was not, it was a grant to help struggling mothers who were about to bring forth a new member of the population. But then he talks about our dwindling birth rate. And then he says, we're not paying people to have children. What I want to enable is discussion. So you see where the confusion stems from? In my mind, and I want to play the clip for you, because sometimes somebody could listen to something, they get one interpretation, you come and you listen and you say, but no, you missed out this important part. You didn't realize this, or you didn't understand this. So I want to play the Prime Minister's explanation to you, because he talks about discussion. Now I'm going to hold back a little bit on my interpretation of this discussion that he wants to enable, because I just, the guys, I'm going to be honest. For me, personally, when I listen to the Prime Minister's explanation, the dots are not connecting. The maths is not mathsing. But I am going to play the clip, and I would really appreciate some feedback from the listening public so that you can explain to me, what am I missing? What am I missing? So I'm going to take you back, because of course I need your help. I'm going to take you to the pre-cabinet press briefing where Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre is about to explain to us what he believes is a misconception about this new policy that he has proposed and his attempt to clear the air. Hopefully, we can all listen in on this explanation, and maybe we might understand better what the Prime Minister was aiming for and what he really wanted to see. So let's take a listen to Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre as he attempts to clear the air on this new policy. Take a listen.
So spirited debate and contributions by members. I just wanted very briefly to go through, to mention a few issues that I know have been creating quite a bit of public discussion. And I thought it'd be good if I just went through the main one. It's one of the policy proposals for mothers of registered newborn babies will receive a one-time grant of $1,000 effective August 1st, 2026. That was the first one. But there are some below it that everybody seemed not to have seen. Review of parental leave provisions following childbirth to better support families. 3. Review of the Affiliation Maintenance Act. 4. Expand the school feeding program to ensure greater nutritional support for students. And in the budget address, the exact words that we use referring to the matter of the matter I just raised, it will. And I just want to read it for you. says that in the matter of population, it says that we need to begin a mature conversation. And that was clear that what he asked for was a conversation. The Minister of Finance wasn't proclaiming. He was asking, these are the facts, and then he was asking about conversation, a mature conversation. These were the exact words in the budget speech. I trust everybody has a copy of the budget speech, so you look through it, you will see that the Minister of Finance was saying that we should have a mature discussion.
That's the part where the Prime Minister lost me, the mature conversation part. Because if you are coming to the public to say, listen guys, this is the situation. We have a problem. Our birth rates have been steadily on the decline for the past so many years. And we need public consultation or mature conversation on why this is so and what we can do to improve it. You don't say to people, I'm going to give you $1,000 every time you give birth. Because, I don't know guys, maybe I am the one who has not understood this. But the dots are not connecting. Conversation. You said you want to enable mature conversation. Shouldn't you have called for public consultation? Have a meeting at a community center, go to the communities, have a meeting at the community center, call in all females, or have some health officials, have some financial officials, or some teachers, or just persons in the community. Invite community members, not just leaders, but everyone. Have a public meeting and say, this is the problem that we're faced with, and we need a conversation. Why aren't mothers interested in having more kids? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the way to start a mature conversation? If your goal is to start a mature conversation, why would you say in your policy that we will be handing out $1,000 per live birth or registered birth to mothers? I don't understand. It's it's almost as if the Prime Minister has corrected himself with a mistake. Am I the only one seeing this? Because this does not make any sense, and I think the Prime Minister needs to go back to the drawing board and just, because sometimes guys, you're in the middle of a conversation, you think something, when you say it, it sounds so much better in your head. I think this explanation is one of those things that sounded so much better in the Prime Minister's head, but have now caused wide-scale confusion among the listening public and among the people. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on that, but I'm not seeing the conversation starter in $1,000. Excuse me, seem to be coming down with a little bit of the allergies, guys, allergies. You see, unlike other people, I'm allergic to foolishness, and when I hear it, it causes me to cough. So please bear with me. These allergies might flare up every time the Prime Minister speaks, or maybe it might flare up when some of the other ministers speak, but the most regular allergen is listening to conversations with the Prime Minister. Sorry, I apologize in advance for my allergies. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. But really, guys, I need to hear from you the people, because maybe I am the one who is not understanding this. The Prime Minister wants us to believe that he wanted to start a conversation. I want to ask the Prime Minister, what conversation exactly were you looking to start? Because here's the conversation, here's what I got from this. We have an issue, and it is not a new issue. Back in 2009, I attended a PTA meeting where a teacher, a school principal of a primary school in a community, was saying to the parents, you need to make more babies. Our registration numbers are dwindling every year. We can barely fill up classrooms. I remember this lady making this statement, and years later, this school had to be incorporated into another school in a nearby community because there were not enough new registrations on an annual basis to keep the school open. So that problem is a long-standing problem. So yes, it is a reality, it is a fact. Birth rates are dwindling. I listened to a very good friend of mine, Linda Bothier, speaking about birth rates. And she said, she was speaking on a program on DBS, and she said that for 2025, we had little over 1,300 live births. And out of these births, a number of those children suffered congenital defects. And she said it was very alarming. Right? So, we do know there is a problem. It is a serious problem. We've heard the talk about NIC being in danger of running out of finances to maintain its core functions. What are its core functions? Providing unemployment benefits to contributors, providing sickness benefits to contributors, providing pensions payments to contributors. These are the core functions of the NIC. And it has been proposed that the NIC ups the ante and provide even more social safety nets for their contributors. But without contributions, NIC is fast becoming in danger of being in a position where it will be required to pay out a lot more than is coming in. And there are even discussions and speculation that by a certain year, not too far from now, NIC will run dry. So yes, these projections are based on the current climate, and they are a real concern. I don't want anyone to listen to this program and believe that we are simply knocking down solutions or just speaking without understanding the gravity of the situation. It is a serious concern. And it is a concern that requires immediate, effective action. In that, I agree wholeheartedly. I don't doubt that there is need for mature conversations about how and when and what method will be used to tackle the problem. It is a problem. My concern is not the what, but the how. Because it cannot be that we have a prime minister who is simply making pronouncements just for making pronouncements sake. It cannot be the same way that we shouldn't just oppose policies and statements just for opposing sake. We need to give these things the time of the dissection, the discussion that they warrant. But we also need to understand these things, because this is not a joke, people. Let me just put that out there. These are real issues. These are real issues that affect every single St. Lucian, both at home and abroad. Our population is in decline. Our population has shifted from across the board young, old, middle age to mostly middle age, very young, middle age, and old. The young people in the middle, the ones who should have been joining the workforce and starting to contribute to the continuity of NIC and other social programs, taxes, so on and so forth, and the continuity of the running of government. Because let me tell you something, government doesn't run without money. Let's be honest. NIC doesn't run on good intentions alone. Government doesn't run on votes. Let's get this clear. You need money for all of those things. How does government generate money? As you can see, our government generates money through taxes. The Prime Minister was asked, what is your fiscal policy? His response, taxes. We know that. This is what we voted for, and you get what you vote for. We paid for it with our tikwa, right? So let's have this intelligent, mature conversation that the Prime Minister intended for us to have according to him. And I like to take my notes when I'm having these intelligent conversations. So we know the problem. We know the problem, but we have to find a way to tackle the problem effectively and in the long term. Because these short-term, throwing money at the problem is a short-term solution, especially if this money is not put in the right places and in the right ways. When you say to individuals that we're going to give a one-time grant of $1,000 for every registered birth, what conversation exactly are you hoping to start? Because you started the budget presentation by saying cost of living, healthcare, cost of education, all of these things are a contributing factor in why you believe, or your government believes, people are no longer interested in having children. And you are correct. These are considerations that are made by parents, potential parents, because you need to house the baby, you need to feed the baby, you need to keep the baby healthy, you need to clothe the baby, and you need to educate this baby so that it can grow up to be a contributing member of society. So you are correct. But when you say that you're going to hand people $1,000, if you didn't intend persons to take that to mean that you were paying people for babies, if you wanted people to think that you were having a conversation or you wanted to foster mature conversation, why, oh why, did you lead with $1,000? That makes absolutely no sense to me. No sense. Let's jump onto the WhatsApp platform. Let me see. Well, Facebook platform. Let me see what persons are saying about this. Somebody says, is this anything new with this Prime Minister? I heard his nonsense. So I'm not the only one who doesn't understand. Somebody says, I hope you Lucians understand what it means to have health care. That's how important it is now. People are crying about how expensive it is to get eye surgery. So if you had voted for your health card, you would not have to worry about anything today. EC $75,000, shaking my head. Solutions, what is it about suffering that you like so much? Somebody says here, Angie, really? Must you go there? Please don't play this explanation. It makes us look stupid as a nation having PJP as our PM. You have to expose us like that? Oh gosh, man. Wow. Somebody says, Angie is just replaying PJP's untruth to St. Lucians who voted for him. Somebody says, what PJP wants us to stop pointing out his lies. He wants us to take away our attention away from the way that he is working for the country. Somebody says, wow. Angie, you forgot what Bobby said, asking to have children, and he said, there's free an ultrasound. Bobby, oh, I think that person means baby. Okay, free ultrasounds. Again, if you want to start a mature conversation, why are you talking about free ultrasounds and you're talking about $1,000 grants? What conversation exactly are you trying to start? It does not say conversation starter. Somebody says, when you come to the House of Assembly and you're doing like you are only talking to Alan and not the people that voted for you, and you are using words like micro, do you think that the majority of the people understand what you're talking about or the meaning of that word when you cannot even break it down so that the common man can understand you are only speaking to yourself? You cannot even explain yourself or the gas prices. I'm not saying you need men and women that can explain themselves in both languages in the House of Parliament. Somebody says, Angie, Philip J. Pierre is running his camp. Another person says, yes, Angie, understandable, that's a problem, but under which condition with this PJP administration? Okay. Another says PJP is more confused. Another says PJP wants to play with people's minds. And somebody says the Philip Pierre babies coming soon, August 1st, 2026. The price is 1,000 EC. Miss it and blame yourself, ladies. Guys, I'm sorry. Sometimes the comments on here crack me up. But let's be honest. Let's be serious. Because mature conversation, guys, we have to admit this warrants a conversation. But Mr. Prime Minister, don't you think that you should have started the conversation? There are so many factors that are essential to a growing population. And the Prime Minister has made it his business not to effectively address these issues. First off, Mr. Prime Minister, if you want educated persons to be comfortable having babies, don't you think there are a few essentials that you, the government, need, as a leader, need to put in place before you go around handing incentives for procreation? Because it doesn't matter what you say, it is an incentive to get pregnant. I'm sorry. That is exactly what it is. You can package it in whatever wrapper you want. You can tie on whatever bow. You can do whatever. But this is simply an incentive to ask persons, young women, to go and get pregnant. But what about the long-term effects of having a baby, of bringing an individual into this world? At the top of our list, Mr. Prime Minister, the top of our list is a steady water supply. When will this government learn that if you fix the problem, the side effects go away? If you cure the disease, the side effects go away. What do I mean by that? In order to make a baby's bottle, you need safe, clean water. In order to give a baby a bath, you need safe, clean water. In order to wash that baby's laundry, and babies generate a lot of laundry, you need safe, clean water. Something that so many St. Lucians, a basic essential, a basic human right, so many St. Lucians are lacking at the moment. I got home last evening. I turned the knob on the pipe. Nothing. I woke up this morning. I tried to flush the toilet. Nothing. Pipe-borne water. Essential to not just babies, but every single individual. A problem that was effectively solved in the 1980s by the John Compton administration. And today in 2026 has taken a step. I shouldn't say a step. I should be completely honest. Taken a slide back in time. If you cannot provide St. Lucian homes with safe drinking water. By the way, St. Lucia, persons who work in the tourism industry will tell you that St. Lucia was ahead of so many bigger countries in and around the Caribbean and Latin America in that our pipe-borne water supply was safe and drinkable. When you go to the Latin American countries, the first advisory you're given, and persons who travel know this, do not drink the water. The water is not safe for drinking. But in St. Lucia, we've never had this advisory. In fact, we advertise to our visitors that our pipe-borne water is safe for drinking. A problem that was effectively solved and managed and handled in the 1980s. We've taken a slide back to square one in that we don't have a steady supply of potable water. Number one, basic. Number two, healthcare. I get it, free ultrasounds. But guess what? A pregnant or an expecting mother doesn't need an ultrasound every single month unless there are complications with the pregnancy. And those of us mothers, we know that. You have an ultrasound sometimes to confirm your pregnancy, in most cases. And then you have an ultrasound every couple of months, maybe once or twice during your pregnancy, simply to confirm the sex of the baby or to confirm that all is doing well just before childbirth. If you have to have ultrasounds more often, then there are complications and the doctors need to keep monitoring mother and child, which is not an ideal situation. It's not the norm. Then they tell you 3 free blood tests. Again, yes, expectant mothers need to have blood tests done, but it's not a regular basis kind of thing. Again, these blood tests are done regularly in the event of complications or in the event or just to make sure that everything is going well, to ensure that mother and child are safe. So maybe for once in a pregnancy, unless the doctor believes that there is some sort of complication, will you see an expectant mother being asked to have blood tests done. What else are they ruling out? Nothing else. But in procreation, there's a reason why antenatal and prenatal and antenatal clinics are held with such regularity. Having a baby is Having a baby is a life or death situation for both mother and child. This is why you're asked to go to clinic regularly, to visit your doctor regularly, because most pregnant mothers have to be monitored. There are serious complications that can lead to death. Preeclampsia is one of them that I can think of off the top of my head. There's pregnancy-induced diabetes. There's pregnancy-induced hypertension. Having a baby takes a serious toll on the body and mind of an expectant mother. Now we've gotten the body part down. We have health centers in every community within a 5-mile radius of each other in every direction to monitor these individuals during that critical time in the human life cycle. But what have we seen in the past couple of years? We've seen almost all of these primary healthcare facilities around the island closing shop one by one. So you cannot provide the monitoring that is necessary to bring forth healthy babies into the world. Why, oh why, are you saying to young women that we will give you $1,000 for every registered booth? You see the moving parts that need to be in place, and this is just two. Then there is the psychosocial support or lack thereof for expectant mothers who suffer from serious mental and psychological complications. For example, postpartum depression. What's in place to take care of these individuals? If you want us to have a mature conversation, let's have a mature conversation. These are the deterrents, Mr. Prime Minister, to persons making the choice to risking their life to bring babies into the world. None of these things are in place. None of these moving parts are in place. What about housing? It is a well-known fact that there is a housing crisis in St. Lucia. Where are we to house these children? And a young man said, if you want us to have babies, give us a house, give us a car, give us a piece of land. And I cannot blame him. So, if it is mature conversation you want, where is the discussion on where these babies are going to be housed? Where is the Talvan housing project? Where is the Shock housing project? What facility has been erected to replace the Block X apartments? And not just the Block X apartments. What about the Chisel Street apartments that were broken down years ago and were never replaced? What about the Jeremy Street apartments that were broken down but were never replaced? These CDC apartments, Block X, Chisel Street, is that Chisel Street or Victoria Street? One of the streets, you know what I mean, and Jeremy Street. And for those of you who don't remember, that there used to be a CDC building right where the, I think it's the Corinth bus stop now stands. That was the Jeremy Street apartments. There was another apartment building, another CDC, right next to Dax Supermarket. That's the Chisel Street, and then Block X. All of these buildings have been broken down, and the spots have been used for parking. One for a bus stop, the rest for parking. But nothing No building, no apartment complex has been built. Where is the Rock Hall apartment complex? Because your constituency is one of those that is hit very hard with a housing deficiency. Where are the buildings, the complexes, the housing schemes to replace these facilities, these housing facilities that are much needed? You say mature conversation. Here is it. Let's have this conversation. Cost of living. Because getting pregnant and going to the doctor is one thing. Delivering a healthy baby is fine. Housing that baby is great. But how are you to feed this individual that you have brought into the world? You always complain, Mr. Prime Minister, that when you make pronouncements, people ridicule you, and this is why. Because you come with these half-cocked policies where none of the moving parts that will enable this clock to tick are in place. We need new births. We need to boost our birth rate. Go out, go forth, have babies. Here is $1,000 as an incentive. Because whether you want to admit that that is what you said or not, that is what you said. You want to talk about conversation? Let's talk about conversation. Let's have the conversation. You're talking about having the baby. You spoke about giving mothers, reviewing time off, was it? He said maternal time, reviewing the laws that govern time off after childbirth. But if I don't have a job, Mr. Prime Minister, why do I need time off? Where are the jobs that you have provided so that these expectant mothers can take that time off from? Where is the manufacturing industry? Where is the new investment? Where is the new industry that you've started? Where is the factory that has opened up? The Deputy Prime Minister is very fond of saying that we have a lack of room stock. A lack of room stock means that there are people out there who used to work in these hotels that have closed down that are now at home, twiddling their thumbs. Where are the new jobs that you have put in place? Because he is very famous for saying that 3 hotels on the Rodney Beach Strip have been demolished. This hotel hasn't come on stream, that one hasn't come on stream, and that's why we have dwindling tourism numbers. I was on a bus and I heard somebody saying that they are working just a few days a week and are being forced to go out and source other jobs, other domestic positions to supplement their income. So yes, you're reviewing the laws that enable people to get time off to stay home with and bond with their babies. All well and good. Where are the jobs that we're supposed to take that time off from? I would think that persons need to have jobs so that they can take time off from their job, right? Where are the jobs? On the one side of your mouth, you say cost of living is a problem, high cost of living. But on the other side, you say, and I quote, I did not lower the price of gas because the savings you would have gotten from that, you would have put it into stuff we felt. Your words, even if I'm paraphrasing, but your words, we felt that the micro benefits, meaning the money that we would have saved, the money we would have had in our possession, the disposable income that we would have had in our possession, which would have enticed us to be able to have another baby, you would have put it into things that were not productive. Mind you, lowering the price of gas would have had a domino effect on the cost of living, because every single industry in St. Lucia, private and public, is affected by the cost of fuel. Distribution, commerce, healthcare, service provision, internet services and all of that. All of these things are directly impacted by the price of fuel at the pump. Goods on supermarket shelves, clothing, every single industry. Every single industry. You deliberately kept us in a state of poverty so that your $1,000 for live birth would look more enticing. And if I say that, then you would be the first one to say that you are being vilified, or you use the new word, pillared, on radio stations for making pronouncements. But let's have the mature conversation, because you said that was your aim. How are we, and you said there's no VAT on Pampers. But Pampers alone don't a healthy baby make. What I mean is, a growing baby doesn't need Pampers alone. A growing baby needs special medications for colic, Pampers, wipes, powder, cream, special shampoos, clothes, because babies grow out of clothes so quickly. For mothers who are at work, they have to rely on baby food and stuff, because you have to make it accessible, because you want the mothers to be working. If the mother is at home, then she still has to shop for the baby. Where is the money coming from to feed these babies? Because you don't just want to be popping out babies, you want to have a healthy baby. You have to feed that baby properly. You have to be able to afford cooking gas, so that you can sterilize the bottle, so that you can cook the baby's food properly. So you need to buy healthy food to ensure that that baby has good nutrition. Where are the jobs? The $1,000 one-time grant, like you said, Mr. Prime Minister, you said it was not meant to be enough. We agree. So where are the jobs to take it from the $1,000 and bring it further? Where are the jobs? Where is the new industry? Is the mother supposed to leave her baby at home in the care? Okay, you said you're paying $50 on preschool. That's fine. So is the mother supposed to put this baby in a preschool and go and work step for 4 days a week? Once a year? Is that what is going to keep this baby well fed, happy, healthy, and hale? You said you wanted mature conversation, so here it is, mature conversation. These are the questions that are not being asked, St. Lucia, that we need to ask. So that way, when people are saying, oh, I didn't want to do this, you did. That's what you did, Mr. Prime Minister. Your excuses, they're not going to work here. They're not going to work. Coming here and say, oh, I just wanted to start a conversation. No, you wanted to pay people to have babies. You said it yourself. Babies are expensive. Cost of living. You mentioned cost of living. Cost of living is one of the factors, the deterring factors, keeping young mothers or young couples away from wanting to have babies. Your words, not mine. So then you said, and I quote, we will be giving you $1,000 for registered births. Who takes care of these babies after? When these mothers have registered this birth and they have collected that $1,000, they've gone home and they've realized, wait a minute, this is, especially first-time mothers, this is more than I bargained for. What happens to that child then? Where are the state resources to work with this mother, provide psychosocial support? Because I can tell you, having a baby in your early 20s, when you're not working, even if you are working, having a baby, being in that house with this child, totally dependent on you, crying for everything, you want to go back to work as soon as possible just to get some peace. Who provides childcare to these young mothers who are totally unprepared for what a first-time pregnancy means? Who helps them sleep at night when that baby doesn't sleep? Who provides the psychosocial support? Who provides the moral support? Add that to all the normal pressures of just being on this earth. How do they cope? Their entire lives have changed. How do they cope? When you make these blanket statements and you make these short-term politically expedient pronouncements, and then you realize you've made a serious mistake, and then you come back and you try to cover your mistake with another mistake. How do you expect people to take you seriously? And you want to say about mature conversation? Mr. Prime Minister, please. Who suffers in these situations? Like you are fond of saying, not you. Not you. You are not the one suffering. It's not going to affect you. It affects the country. We know, and you keep saying it. I'm not the one being affected. You're not affecting me. We know you're not affected. You're what, 70-something years old? Your baby making apparatus, I'm pretty sure, is still ticking. And if you decide to lead by example and be the first one to pass go and collect $1,000, the person who has to wake up in the night to breastfeed this baby is whichever poor unfortunate sap who decides to cooperate with you in this new policy that you've put forward. Not you. I don't see you waking up at 2 a.m. to change diapers, to prepare feed. I don't see you functioning on half an hour or half a minute of sleep. I had my daughter over 20 years ago, and I still remember. I still remember falling asleep as soon as I sat down to try to eat. Who prepares these young first-time mothers? Because you said this is for first-time mothers, just to help them along. You see, your policies have to be, you claim that your policies are data-driven, they are targeted, but every time you bring a policy forward, it seems as if there is, according to a listener to the show, they come from a Kabaway meeting. And this is not me being political. This is simply me dissecting these policies and seeing what they are made of. Almost 90% of the policies that this government puts through seem to be spur of the moment. Shake a hat, dip your hand in it, lucky dip. They're just not thought through properly. They're not. For example, we have a dwindling birth rate, but you are talking about policies for early childhood education. Where are the babies for these policies? Where are they? If you're not, in fact, offering people $1,000 to procreate, because that is the only way this $50 off preschool education policy makes any kind of sense. Dwindling birth rate, but you're offering free ultrasounds to expectant mothers. Where are the pregnancies? We're not getting pregnant. We're not having babies. Where are the pregnancies? Isn't the role of the government to provide or to create an enabling environment for persons to live their lives to the fullest? Isn't the government supposed to attract foreign investment or to foster an environment where the local community can invest in businesses, so then from those businesses and these foreign investments, jobs can be created, and then young people can make a life for themselves. They can go out there and get a job, and when they get that job, they can provide themselves with some sort of financial stability, not just financial, but just stability. Proper home, being able to afford to feed yourself properly, because you can't just go off half-cocked and have a baby. This takes a toll on your body. So cost of living, people being able to feed themselves properly, to take care of themselves, people being able to save and have disposable income, people being able to afford going to the doctor, people being able to make themselves comfortable, and then deciding, hey, now that I have covered all my bases, I have a good job, I have some money saved in the bank, I can afford proper health care, I think I want to have a baby. I'm comfortable. Nobody's going to just go around bringing babies into the world willy-nilly, because let me tell you something, say Nusha. When those kids are born, the government doesn't care how they are born. They give you that one-time grant and they turn their back, they're done. Okay, they might give you $50. We're going with what the policies that we have. They might give you $50 off preschool. After that, you are on your own. You are on your own. Caring for that child, disciplining that child, raising that child properly, clothing that child, providing proper shelter and education for that child. You are on your own. And then when you're done, anything that happens to that baby is clumsy and falls too much, the government is on you. That baby, you cannot afford to send that baby to school every day, the government is on you. Remember, they said they're increasing truancy officers. That baby, for some reason, suffers some sort of mishap and dies, the government is on you. Because they don't care how the babies live, but they expect you to send them to school. They expect you to take proper care of their health, and they expect you to keep them alive. And you're expected to do all of these things, achieve all of these things, all by your lonesome. All by your lonesome. You're supposed to house these babies properly, make sure they are clean and well cared for. Sometimes you cannot even care for yourself properly. The government does not care. The government does not care. So if you want to have a mature conversation, Mr. Prime Minister, what you should have done was not offer unsuspecting young ladies who have no idea what the reality of having a baby is, $1,000 to go out there and procreate, because that's what you're doing. You're buying babies. I'm sorry. You can dress it up however you want. The truth is the truth. You are offering people $1,000 to get pregnant and to have a baby. But who takes care of that baby between the time it is born and the time it has to go to preschool? So then they can collect the $50. But when you collect it, well, you're not collecting the $50. You have $50 off of the price of school fees. But Mr. Prime Minister, when we send that baby to preschool, what are we putting in the lunch bag? Because groceries are expensive. Where are the jobs that will enable us to afford to go buy Massey, to get the organic food, to get the organic fruits that we can make the juice so that the baby is healthy and hale? Because eat what you grow and grow what you eat. Or are we supposed to send those babies to school and then go home and plant sweet potatoes? Because we know that you are providing sweet potato seeds. Let's be honest. You're providing sweet potato seeds as opposed to jobs, as opposed to businesses moving their headquarters here, their corporate headquarters. Because remember the quadrant economic plan? Remember the plan to turn Castries into a corporate center, to shift the wharf from Castries, that area there, bring it to cul-de-sac, and then build small corporate hotels that would offer conferencing and all of these things so that persons can be working in these areas. We have IT professionals, we have those persons doing AI and all of that kind of thing, coding. These young people having these jobs that can bring in the money that would allow them to be able to afford to become parents, effective parents. Where is the employment? Where is the employment? Or are you expecting these mothers? Because again, grow what you eat and eat what you grow. And I heard the Prime Minister also talking about guttering to harvest rainwater. So are you expecting us to take that $1,000? You're expecting those mothers to take that $1,000, buy some guttering, put it around their house, the house that they don't have, put a drum under it to collect rainwater, and then plant a plot of sweet potato seeds that will mature in what? Did he say 6 weeks or 6 months? I'm not sure. How are we supposed to take this government seriously? With these half-cocked ideas and half-cocked excuses and things that just don't make any sense. The phone lines are open, people. And I want to know your opinion. And you know the number, 572-3473. Call in. Let me know your opinion. Do you think that I have started the mature conversation that the Prime Minister envisioned? Or what is your take on this excuse? The Prime Minister is trying to say that we did not understand. We misunderstood his policy. What is your take? What is your takeaway from what the Prime Minister is saying? In the meantime, let me just jump onto the Facebook platform and see how people are reacting to the Prime Minister's explanation. Somebody says, Lucians, especially young women, you don't mean anything to Philip Pierre if he can see that you're only worth $1,000 and that is only a one-time payment. Somebody says, there are mothers who are having their first babies. They're always sick and need to visit the doctor often. What would a one-time ultrasound do for them? I don't know. I do not know. Somebody says, T-boutique government, $5 can block a hole. Somebody says he will ask to make banana porridge for the babies. This is what he said, and this is what he meant as well. Another person is saying, you are so right, referring to an earlier comment. Somebody says, PJP has the figures in government, but no intelligence to make people's lives better. Another person says these are lying excuses. Another is saying, in all that mess, what does the mother do for herself? What or how the mother will take, how will she take care of herself? They must rely on family members for help? Just asking a question. And that's a valid question. Because you need to take care of yourself. Somebody says this is the balance of the elections money that they paid people to vote. So he is giving the balance to go and have babies. Good luck to all. The Prime Minister says that's not what he meant. We are taking it the wrong way. I want to hear from you. Do you think we are taking it the wrong way? But so far, you guys don't seem to be taking it the way the Prime Minister intended it. But I don't see any other way that this statement, this policy can be interpreted. I'm trying. Somebody says, good day, Angie. I want to steal a few seconds of your time to encourage everyone following this program to tune into Newsmaker Live with Tim tonight. Uncle Shas is one of the guests on the program tonight. Let us tune in so we can get at least some of the ills that we have been dealt by this government, by this ill-placed circus crew. I was going to make the announcement later before I close the show, but thank you for that. Although this is ambush marketing, and I hope you are going to be sending me my check in the mail. Kidding. Somebody says, LOL Angie, if this guy has to wake up at 3 a.m. to change a diaper or to feed the baby, the very next day he will throw away the baby along with the bath water. Quite sad, people, quite sad. Somebody says here, but there are some people who know better. Yet they are coming out to defend PJP's unreasonable disrespect to first-time mothers. Shame on them. Another person says, Angie, they're giving with the right hand and taking it back with the left hand. Another says, Angie, I don't like the fact that we refer to children as kids. If I remember, in school we were taught that a kid is a baby goat. Now I cannot imagine my child behaving like a goat because I called this child a kid. That's a good one. Thank you for injecting a little bit of humor into this very serious situation. Somebody says here, didn't the government create the youth economy so the youth can have their own jobs for themselves? So the $1,000 is the icing on the cake. Now, the youth economy is another one. Again, this is something that I do not understand. To this day, we the people, we the taxpayers of St. Lucia, have received no report. And I do believe that, like the CIP report, a report on the MSME grant, the loan grant, and on the youth economy, and on the community tourism agency should be tabled in the parliament so everyone can understand how much money was given out in these initiatives, through these initiatives, how many businesses or St. Lucians participated, how many benefited, and what the results are. Not because we want to know people's business, but because it is our business. Okay? Our business. Because it is our taxpayers' money. Our taxpayers' money that were put into these initiatives that we were told were an avenue for young entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs to make a way to create employment for themselves and their counterparts. A boost to the local business sector, we were told, through encouraging youth entrepreneurship and the flourishing of small businesses. We also heard about the entertainment grant. Oh, no, sorry, not entertainment grant. Let me say this properly. The Creatives Grant. And I heard a reporter asking the Deputy Prime Minister about that grant and how far along it is, and he could not give an answer. And I think it's high time that these initiatives, reports on these initiatives, are tabled regularly in the Parliament so that we know for a fact when we pay $1.48 billion in taxes, which is what we paid in 2025, and we're expected to pay a 1.9% increase in the 2.5% health and security levy and a 3.4% increase in the VAT, not to mention property tax, vendor's tax if we want to sell a piece of property, income taxes, business taxes, and so on and so forth. When we pay over $1 billion in taxes as a country, we need to know that this money is working in our favor. I don't know if you agree with me, St. Lucia, but this is how I see it. And we need to have these initiatives, because the money going into them is not CIP money. The money going into them is not the government minister's pocket money. The money going into it is the taxes that you and I pay. And let me remind you, for every purchase, we pay VAT, and then we pay the 2.5% levy on the VAT and the price of the item. For every service that we pay for, we pay VAT, and we pay the 2.5% health and security levy on top of the VAT for that service. These are the monies that are collected and poured into these initiatives. The Prime Minister said to us, the money from the health and security levy, which should have been in a lockbox, earmarked specifically for health and security, because that's what he said to us, that's how he sold it to us, is being put into the consolidated fund. So that means that money is going into these initiatives as well. The dollars are not marked. There's not an X, a red X for VAT, a blue X for health and security levy, a purple X for property tax, a magenta, a yellow X for for income tax. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? So we need to know, these things need to be tabled in the Parliament so that we can understand it. Somebody says, hello, greetings, 101 years ago today, God bless the Caribbean with the gift of a humble servant named John Compton. I guess today would have been the anniversary of Sir John's birth. I wonder what direction Sir John is facing in his coffin at this time, when he sees the way the country he loved so much, and he gave so much, and he sacrificed so much for, is headed in. Somebody says, everyone tune in tonight to Newsmaker Live. Okay. To hear our professional and intellectual former Prime Minister talk about facts and the truth. Ambush marketing, guys, you are going to have to pay me. Somebody says, you got the point, Angie, connect the dots. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Angie, I have to listen. Angie, I have to laugh so much. You see that little $1,000 Philip J. Pierce said he given to, let me listen, they take over a Facebook because they love taking a photo and put on Facebook. They put a young mother with a baby, and she's signing. Under it, let me tell you what are the things that $1,000 will do. It has things to do so much. Targeting a newborn support to ease immediate financial pressure. Families that are facing birth of a child, healthy start, child development, financial constraint, financial pressure, social protection. You still want that little $1,000 things it have to do like that?
But caller, hold on.
Yes, I'm listening.
The fundamental takeaway of this is that the Prime Minister is trying to see that we are calling this initiative and a baby making payment. But he is saying that that is not so. But at the same time, he is saying that our birth rate is dwindling. So, how does that make sense? I'm trying to make it make sense in my mind, and I'm asking for you guys to help me. If you're saying families facing the birth of a child, but you just said that people are not making children.
Listen to me, Angie. What Philip J. Pierre take it for? Imagine in United Workers' Party where they want to do that thing. You could imagine. So it's not good. And maybe not only, maybe there are some labors too that find it's not correct. We must just stay there and just shut our mouth, you understand? And trying to make people believe that giving that it's a help to a family. You are targeting some poor people. That's people who cannot say no, cannot say yes, just thank you. That's the people Philip J. Pierre is tagging. You know what I tell you?
I agree.
And to me, they could say what they want. It's not good because Philip J. Pierre is getting monies to do other things that's worthless. Bringing a child to life, if you say it's to help pressure, family pressure, to make them go help you all these things, you're giving them $1,000, and you want us to just say bravo. We haven't got a right to say it's not enough. So
it's not about no. It's not about it being enough, caller. You're missing the point entirely. It's not about it not being enough. Here's my issue. It is about the Prime Minister trying to pretend that this is not an incentive for people to get pregnant. Because what the Prime Minister should have done, if he was serious about fixing this birth rate problem, why doesn't the Prime Minister create jobs? Why doesn't the Prime Minister provide housing, low-income housing? Why doesn't the Prime Minister provide an enabling, reduce crime? Why doesn't he tackle the high cost of living? So that way, people now have an enabling environment where they will choose, not out of necessity, not out of desperation, but because they are comfortable, they will have babies.
I understand what you're saying, but that is my intake. You know where I'm living.
Right.
I don't have to say all the time when I'm living. I said it's not enough. That's what I said. It's not enough.
Well, he said it was not meant to be enough.
Voila, it's not because we know how life is. Well, what happened? These people he's targeting maybe going and buy some little things of no, what can I say? I don't want too much hit on mothers that they cannot bring up their babies well. I want to respect mothers, but they have different people who loves good things, who love expensive things. How much will that give them if they want to choose good things? So all the time in St. Lucia, you have to go and buy things of no value. Like the groceries, you will buy only biscuits and corned beef. You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, my lady, corned beef expensive now, eh? A small corned beef is $9, eh?
Well, what will I say? Sardine, I don't know, something. I'm just trying to say, if you want to bring up your child good, well,
I understand.
You cannot do it with that money. That's what I'm trying to say. Or if not, bring down the pampers, bring down the milk, bring down baby things with that 1,000 if you want to help. But the things are so expensive and you're giving them that money and you want us to just say bravo, but we are there to say it's, but I understand what you said, is, so if you are targeting people to make babies, that's the amount you want to give them? That's the amount? No. We have a right to say it's not enough. To me, all mothers, all ladies should be walking down the street. If it was in Matnik, I think that would never happen. And the mothers would just say thank you, because some mothers say thank you. Some say thank you.
Yeah.
Mothers would not say thank you. They poor, they're saying, but they are not hungry. You have to give them enough money to take care of the babies. Yes, you know the babies need pampers. Every day, every minute, you have to change pampers. You understand what I say, G?
I understand.
It's expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say. If you taking your time to give them a little value, you stay to for them to grow good, for them all the words you use there, it's good, but it's nothing behind it to help them with all these words you say to grow nice, to pressures of the room. Yes, if you have all that in mind, give them something so that they will be happy. That's what I want to say right now. Thank you, my G. I'm listening to you.
Thank you for that.
But as they say, they voted for that. You know who is targeting. You know what's going on. You know things are bad. Look, take that. And that's what's going on in St. Lucia. Bye, G. Listening to you.
All right.
Very good topic.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
Ali, bye. Yes.
Somebody on the WhatsApp platform is chiming in. Let me read this message. It says here, Pierre doesn't think much about St. Lucians. That's why he can talk all that crap. The sweet potato idea came from Barbados. That's why he's spewing it as if he is a copycat. The one-day VAT idea came from St. Vincent. I think the incentive for babies idea came from Barbados as well. And he did say that. Somebody says here, I'm not surprised that he couldn't answer on the creative grant. Up to now, they are still struggling with St. Jude, which required only paint and bleach. This so-called UHC from 2016, probably 2011 till now, it is something that they are still tumbling over. Somebody says PJP knows his supporters living in plywood houses and pit toilets will go for his $1,000 check, masher in the city, and some people still defecating in buckets. PJP is laughing at them. Another person says, your tax money, St. Lucians, need to be worried about how their tax monies are being spent than worrying about Mr. Shas. LOL, how many packets of Pampers $1,000 can buy for a baby just for 3 months? Another says, Angie, the PM does not have enough brains to do all what you have mentioned he should have done. This man is just carrying the name of a prime minister. All that glitters is not gold. Well, they should have known what they were voting for. One of the questions that the prime minister was asked by a reporter at that pre-cabinet press briefing, when he was trying to explain what to me was a straightforward comment that did not need any explanation, because you said what you said, Mr. Prime Minister, was, have you thought about looking to the diaspora to solve this birth rate / population issue? And not to any surprise of mine, the Prime Minister's answer was no. Now, hear me out. When they say that the population of a country is a certain number, they're referring not to every person of that country's descent born in the world. What they are referring to is the amount of people who live in that country at any given time. You will all agree with me that we have a very large diaspora in the United States, a large diaspora in Canada, and a large diaspora in the UK. All countries who are struggling with overpopulation and want to crack down on immigration. And these are St. Lucians who were born in St. Lucia, some second generation St. Lucians, meaning St. Lucians born overseas, who have strong ties to the country, to the island, to their home. I remember watching this program in the UK where this content creator was going around asking people, where are you from? And he spoke to two girls who, by the sound of their accent, were either lived, well, I guess they lived in the UK. And they were very proud St. Lucians, but the way they were describing St. Lucia, it is clear to anyone who lives here that these individuals have never lived here. But they were very proud to talk about their St. Lucian heritage. You see, we may not have St. Lucian babies being born in St. Lucia right now, but that does not mean that St. Lucian babies are not being born in Europe, in France, in the UK, in Canada, in the United States, and even in other Caribbean countries. That doesn't mean that St. Lucians are not having babies worldwide. It simply means that St. Lucians are not having babies in St. Lucia. We already have members of our population living elsewhere. Instead of insulting, and yes, I will say it because that is how I feel as a St. Lucian woman of childbearing age, instead of insulting us with a $1,000 payment as incentive to make children, why not work on the social ills that will entice St. Lucians living abroad to come back home? Think about it, St. Lucia. Think about it. Think about this logically. Let's have the mature conversation that the Prime Minister wants us to have. We have St. Lucians who are out there in the diaspora, in the States, in Canada, in Europe, in England, in Scotland, everywhere, in every country around the world, as far as Germany, France, Dubai, everywhere. And these St. Lucians are living full lives, working 2-3 jobs, taking care of their families back home. Proud to be St. Lucian, Lucian to the core. But they cannot survive in their home country because there are no jobs, there is no health care, crime rate is through the roof, educational opportunities are all but non-existent. And these are people who can be injected into the workforce the same day they set foot in St. Lucia and start contributing to NIC by the end of the month or the end of the fortnight. Why not provide these individuals, these expats, a reason to come back home? These are individuals who are qualified in fields that are needed in St. Lucia so they can make a meaningful contribution. A meaningful contribution. We have persons in the diaspora who can bring skills to the country that are not even they have skills that will solve problems that we don't even know we have as yet. But they are already qualified because they live in these countries which provides them with opportunities. We have St. Lucians who are out there in Canada, in the States, in Britain, in Europe, working with persons with disabilities, caring for these individuals, services that are not provided by the state in St. Lucia. But could you imagine if you have a cohort of persons who are qualified to provide these services, and then the state takes that $1,000 and opens a facility so that the parents who are stuck at home taking care of these autistic children, Down syndrome children, and so on and so forth, can now place these children in the care of the state, who now has these professionals, qualified, experienced professionals, who can now give this service, and then these mothers who were stuck at home can now go out there and become part of the workforce, and yes, contribute to taxes, to NIC, to the betterment of their country. Didn't the Prime Minister think of that? We have individuals out there who are healthcare professionals. A very famous example is Dr. Cato Lorenzin. This gentleman is a world-renowned medical researcher working in groundbreaking research, contributing to groundbreaking discoveries in the regrowth of bones. And this individual has come back to St. Lucia and said, I want to use my expertise to help my home country. Since then, he has made an affiliation with the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College and his university in the States. And last I heard, he was working on creating some sort of bridge where St. Lucians students who wanted to study medicine would have an opportunity to work through to benefit with a collaboration between the university where he works at and the South Louis Community College to get training in medicine. So we have St. Lucians out there who are qualified in ways that will bring so many benefits to this country. I am betting my bottom dollar Dr. Lorenzen is not the only St. Lucian researcher out there doing big things in the bigger world. We can use these expertise for training. These individuals have skills and competencies that can benefit St. Lucian students so that these students can find linkages through the networks of these people and be able to provide services in St. Lucia that we desperately need, services that we have to import from overseas, services that we have to leave St. Lucia and go overseas to access. Why not entice these individuals to come back home? I'm sure that there are St. Lucians. We know for a fact that we have St. Lucians working as nurses, as doctors, everywhere in the Caribbean. Why not finish this new hospital and entice these nurses to come back home? I know of St. Lucian pilots. Why not start some training facility and invite these pilots to come home so they can train St. Lucians to fly the friendly skies? There are so many opportunities. That $1,000 could have been used in so many more productive ways. So many St. Lucians I know, members of my own family, who've said, I'm working, they're in the diaspora, they're working, they're using their monies, their savings, building homes in St. Lucia, starting businesses in St. Lucia, so that when they retire and they can collect their social security in whatever country they live in now, they can come home. They can come home and live lives because they don't want to be up there in the cold. They want to be at home. Why not improve health care? Why not improve job opportunities? Why not improve infrastructure so that these individuals can come home? They can live the lives that they are used to over there. And they bring with them skills and competencies that are much needed in St. Lucia. Because when these people go out there, they don't go out there to play. They're not going out there to jump carnival. They're not going out there to sit in the house and collect welfare. They're not going out there to party. They're going out there to educate themselves. They're going out there to work. They're going out there to learn skills that we need in St. Lucia, to profit from opportunities that they cannot find at home. And these are people, lawyers, doctors, healthcare professionals, child care professionals, persons who work in the post office overseas, persons who work in the service industry, persons who work in the public transportation, persons who work in engineering, persons who have a working knowledge to solve the issues that we have in St. Lucia? Why aren't we dealing with crime? I'm pretty sure we have a number of St. Lucians who are members of the US Armed Forces, the UK Armed Forces, the Canadian Armed Forces, the French Armed Forces, law enforcement professionals, paramilitary, military, you name it, army, navy, whatever. Can we not entice these individuals to come home and use these skills to help us curtail crime in the country? Did the Prime Minister even think about these things? Am I the only person? And I know I'm not the only St. Lucian who sees these linkages. We have people out there. The people that are out there in the diaspora working as babysitters. They're not just going at somebody home and watch a child, you know. These people have to get qualified as childcare professionals for them to care for these children. Can't these individuals come home and work in daycare facilities? Can't they come home and work in preschools? Can't they come home and work in hospitals? And take care of those same babies that the government is paying $1,000 to have? Because these skills and competencies are necessary. We need them down here. So they can take care of these kids. They're earning and they're contributing to VAT, to Health and Security Levy, to NIC. And the mothers that are stuck at home, the mothers that you just paid the $1,000 to have those babies, they can now take advantage of the youth economy, take advantage of the MSME loan grant, look for a job, go and start planting potato seeds, whatever, but contribute to society. The individuals we have out there who are in the army, that training that they have received from the US Army, from the RAF, from the Canadian Armed Forces, can't they come home and join the RSLPF and bring with them those law enforcement skills and competencies? Can't they be used, their experiences and expertise be used to upgrade the Royal St. Lucia Police Force so that we can get a handle on crime, and that way entice more economic activity, entice more tourists to come, have a safer country, entice more people from the diaspora to come home because it's safe? Because safety and security is paramount. So much so that we are paying a tax for safety. The nurses and doctors we have, the researchers we have working overseas, living and working overseas, don't we need these expertise here in St. Lucia? Doesn't the forensic lab need researchers? Don't the hospitals need doctors and nurses, nursing assistants? Because we have them out there doing great things. The teachers, the coaches, These people that could not find opportunities for their skills and competencies in St. Lucia and are making it big or working in these positions overseas and gaining much needed experience and skill sets and competencies. Don't we need those skills right here at home? Why aren't we making St. Lucia a better place? Why not use the $1,000 to supplement the price of fuel at the pump so that the cost of living can go down and these individuals can come home? Because it would be cheaper to live and work in St. Lucia. Because if the cost of doing business is cheaper, then businesses are most likely to expand. When businesses expand, industries grow, and persons and more jobs are created. An enabling environment, Mr. Prime Minister, not a one-off payment. Somebody here is chiming in. Somebody says, I went to Jacobi Hospital to the dentist. I met with a St. Lucian. She's the head of the dispensary of that hospital, and she is from Hospital Road in Castries. You see what I'm saying? Do you understand what I am saying? Don't we need somebody with that kind of experience to come home and streamline our processes and help OKEU to provide a better service to the people? Somebody says, Angie, are you dropping the ball? We are paying the tax for security, but we are being deprived of this service? Yes. Somebody else is saying St. Lucia lacks proper health care, even access to basic needs like water. Shouldn't these be put in place first before granting mothers $1,000 to make more babies? My point exactly. My point exactly. That is what I am saying. That $1,000, take it and give it to Wasco. Wherever that money is coming from, because we don't know where that money is coming from. We don't know if it's the INCIP. We don't know if it's the Health and Security Levy. We don't know if it's the VAT. We don't know if it's coming from income tax. We don't know. But wherever it is coming from, can't you give it to Wasco so that they can do the work? Somebody asking, is the $1,000 PJP giving to the mothers from the monies he said that he took from us to prevent us from spending it? We don't know. Excuse me. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon to you, Sanjay. And how's your day going so far?
It's going great, except I am freezing in here.
I could imagine. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been listening, and honestly, Angie, based on what you said alone, is beyond our government, not just the Prime Minister, our government capacity.
How do you figure? How is it beyond them? If me, a layman, can think about that and can think along these lines, how is it beyond the persons that we've chosen to lead our country? I don't understand. Please explain that to me.
Well, based on the track record, you could see that it's obvious. They do not have the capacity. You know, about this baby thing, yes, he said it was never meant to be enough. And as it's been said that it's a way of keeping people dependent on government. So they would say, oh, look, my government is working. People in the right minds would never fall for that. If a lady happened to be pregnant and she gave birth for whatever, that's normal, the normal way of life. Mm-hmm. The way I see it, that is part of a plan that they had, and that is his way of encouraging in their minds, encouraging the population to grow. Because remember, even the one from Grizzly, he quickly came out and said, "Oh, he's encouraging those who could afford to have children. They're the ones who could better afford or a better place to afford children. How many do they have? How many of them even have children?"
Well, I know he for sure has a pair of twins. So I guess, and he did say that he has made his contribution, so others should make their contribution as well.
So it's just the plan. What I'm saying, I think he said that because they already planned it, they already discussed it. So just he took pretty much came in the forefront to say that before it was announced. Then he went on when he released when he closed his I think was it the budget presentation or whatever it was. He went and he quoted scripture. Now before I go into that, the same Bible or the scriptures, it says that when we are gonna be blessed by the from Creator, we need to make room for the blessing. They are capable, or they have been proven to be doing the opposite. You want to, which is what you were just saying, in other words. You want to encourage people to have children, but there's nothing being put in place to encourage it. So after people have children, they realize, oh, I'm in a bind because I have a child and there are so many things that I didn't see. I mean, we're discussing it now, which is a good thing. A lot of people will not see a lot of the things that we were bringing up before on their own. So then they would realize all these things, all complications or situations that they have to deal with just by having a child alone. Having these things being taken care of before you try to give the incentive or whatever it is, it would make things more inviting, more welcoming. Even for the baby itself, life would be more comfortable.
Right.
And back to the scripture, look at the let's take for example the verse that he pretty much closed with. It says, "For we have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power." From the time he said that, by the way, from the time he said the verse, I knew exactly what he was getting at. He read the entire verse, but what he's saying pretty much is rubbing it in people's faces. We have power. That is, I think, the statement he wanted to make.
Right.
Not of a spirit of love, not of a sound mind, just the power. That's all they care about. That's all they're flaunting. I heard the leader of the opposition saying, even whilst he was giving his rebuttal, they were saying, "Oh, but we want 16-1. You're telling me if these people had a capacity of any kind, that would be their response? That would have never been their response. These people are like, you see when somebody has a deficiency, you see some people would say, yeah, he's a 40-year-old man with the brain of a 60-year-old or whatever. That's what I think these people are.
Well,
as I said before, Mr. Guy said it before, he said it one time, these guys are very formidable in opposition,
right,
but they are horrible in government. These guys have, when it comes to leadership, responsibility, and even speaking of which, they are not me or government. Everything that is good, they want to claim it. Everything that is not making them look good, not me, not our government, the former administration. The opposite.
But caller, hold on, caller. You realize that they are the former administration because they just won back to back. So how can they say not me? It is them. It's the Me Too movement all the way.
Is the readiness to oppose everything? To not take responsibility for when things go wrong. They forget. They forget that Israel is just, the only difference is there was an election in between, but it's the same government or government. And one thing I want to point out as well, when you look at it, there's a saying that the devil is not being called the devil. Is not being the devil by being called the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that is, for example, even if when you look at the devil, the demons or whatever, even if they are bad, they all agree, they all work together.
Mm-hmm.
So the Prime Minister will, it's raining feces. They're sitting there, they know that there's not something to say, they will still pat the table. And that's how they would. And then they turn around and say for Barara. So even if he come in, one of them say the worst things ever, they do the worst thing ever, the others will still support it. Look at the Minister for Cassius.
Mm-hmm.
When he was on the UWP side, this guy was the worst thing ever.
Right.
All that happened, the guy just changed his shirt. And maybe he pledged allegiance, but whatever it is now, the guy is like as white as snow. The guy is the best thing ever now. It's so much so that this same Prime Minister turned around and said that is the same guy who was on the opposition. So he's good only on their side, as bad as he was, or as bad as he is. So, Andre, honestly, we're not in a good place. We are not in a good place.
But what is your take? So the Prime Minister is trying to say that this incentive, this one-time payment was not the government paying people to have babies, but the government encouraging mature conversation. What do you think about that statement by the Prime Minister?
Encouraging mature conversation.
That's what he said.
I think he has something in common with Trump, because Trump opened his mouth and said whatever he said, and then he turned around and asked, did I say that? I think when this guy realized the backlash, he tried to spin it and say, he's just trying to encourage mature conversation. What part of that is a mature conversation? It should have been a mature conversation before.
Right.
Like the brother said, that was a Kabaway conversation.
Yeah, that a Kabaway policy.
Right. Well, the policy started with the conversation. So maybe when he came and he said that was supposed to be a mature conversation, he was still, he probably still had the overhang. Not even hangover, an overhang.
Wow, that's how bad it was.
Yeah, exactly.
But
these are going to be for real.
Yeah.
So you were saying something?
And I was agreeing with you, but you do agree with me, caller, that this policy is just reminiscent of this whole government's tendency to practice cat before the horse politics. That's how I see it.
Exactly.
Because
as far as policy goes, I think the first part of that word policy is being spelled P-O-O-R.
Now, caller, you're going to have the Prime Minister at the pre-cabinet press briefing complaining about how he's being pillared on the radio stations. Be careful what you say. That's what he said. He's being pillared on the radio stations. A certain radio station, he's being pillared on the radio station. But when you think about...
Imagine you have a wall next to a pothole in the road that's full of mud. Every time a car passes, the mud smears on the wall. That's it. There's no pillar.
But let's think about it. What do you think about the idea of putting things in place to entice persons in the diaspora to come back home? Because I am of the opinion, so many of the people in the diaspora that I speak to, their stay overseas is a means to an end. If they can get the same benefits that they enjoy overseas at home, they would take it in a heartbeat.
Exactly. There's no how would you say? There's no second guessing that.
Yeah.
So, and as you said, I just want to say that is part of what it means to make St. Lucia the best place to live and work in the Eastern Caribbean. That is part of what this means. He's echoed it so many times, but he doesn't even understand what that means. Like you said, he was asked, has he considered the population in the diaspora? He said no. What are you talking about? You want to make submission the best Mr. Legal work. You're talking about the dying population. I think the leader of the opposition commended him on the news presentation because it was better than a lot of things he's done in the past, the way he presented it. You know?
You mean he didn't stutter?
That is just that. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but he probably stuttered a lot less. He was more on point, and he was a bit clearer on a vast majority of things. So that is why I think the opposition leader commented him. Like, at least he showed a little maturity there.
Right.
But other than that, like really, what is this guy about? And he even I want to go back to something else. He spoke about the 2.5%. Wasn't it just last year? I think he came to the house to ask for to request some extension on it.
Say that again.
Oh, am I the one? That 2.5% levy. Wasn't it just last year they were at it in the house where I think he asked for an extension or something to extend the time on it?
Well, yes. They changed the legislation because initially, and the Prime Minister again is trying to piss in our faces and call it rain. The Prime Minister, I remember specifically, and if you check the government websites, if you check everywhere, it tells you that this tax was placed there for a period of 2 years. He came back to the House last year, changed the legislation to remove the time limit because he said it will be staying on the books. And now he is pretending that he never said it was a 2-year tax, when initially that is how he sold it to the public. It was a tax for 2 years. We were asked to make a sacrifice.
Yep. And then he come out and he say he never said it. But like the leader of the opposition said to you, if you never said it, why is it that the agency that you control is saying it and you never asked them to retract?
Exactly.
You never asked them to stop it.
Exactly.
And you never said it. You never said it, but then you come and request to extend it or pretty much to take the time limit off of it. So what are you saying? You tried to get that clip, you couldn't find it. Tim said he tried, he couldn't find it. And with that being said, you think it's by accident Tibutu came here?
Who?
Tibutu.
I'm not sure who that is. But somebody did send me, hold on, while you're on the, somebody did send me a clipping of that, and you know what, I think I should play this now that you've brought it up, because the Prime Minister cannot come here and believe that everybody is a fool. Give me 1 minute, I don't know if you want to hold the line, let me just simply play. Just hold the line.
Yeah, no worries.
The following resolution standing in my name, whereas under section 17 of the Health and Citizen Security Levy, number 6 of 2023, the Act, it's provided that the Minister of Finance may, by order published in the Gazette, amend the schedules of the Act. And whereas it's further provided under section 17 of the Act, that an order made under that section of the Act is subject to an affirmative resolution of Parliament. And whereas the Minister of Finance seeks approval of the draft Health and Citizen Security Levy, amendment of Schedules 1, 2, and 3 order to amend Schedule 1, 2, and 3 of the Act by an affirmative resolution of Parliament. 2. In the case of Schedule 1, include the following imported goods, Customs Tariff Chapters 25, salt, sulfur, earths, and stone, plastic material, lime, and cement. Chapter 29, particles and articles thereof. Delete the following imported goods, customs tariff, chapters 88, aircraft, spacecraft, and parts thereof. Chapter 89, ships, boats, and floating structures. Chapter 29, special transactions. In the case of Schedule 2, delete the following services: sale of motor vehicles, other financial services, other activities ancillary to financial services. In the case of Schedule 3, under Part 1 of Paragraph 1, Relation Chapter 17, change sugars to sugars. Relation Chapter 44, change organic to organics. Delete exempted goods, the following customs tariff, Chapter 39, plastics and articles thereof. Include exempted goods, the following customs tariffs, Chapter 49, printed books, newspapers, pictures, and other products of printing industry, manuscripts, typescripts, and plans. Replace the exempted goods specified under Part 1, Paragraph 2. Include as exempted goods, goods under tariff headings 3701, 4702, and 90.18 and 90.22, pertaining to medical equipment and parts thereof, and goods under Chapter 85 and other chapters pertaining to security equipment. Be it resolved that Parliament, by affirmative resolution, approves the draft Health and Citizen Security Levy, amendment of Schedules 1 and 3 order, which amends Schedules 1 and 3 of the Act. 2. In the case of Schedule 1, include the following imported goods, tariff, customs tariff, chapters. Chapter 25, salt, sulfur, earths, and stone, plastic materials, lime, and cement. Chapter 49, plastic and articles thereof. Delete the following imported goods, customs tariff. Chapter 88, aircraft, spacecraft, and parts thereof. Chapter 89, ships, boats, and floating structures. Chapter 99, special transactions. B. In the case of Schedule 2, delete the following services: sales of motor vehicles. 19, other various services, other financial services, activities except insurance and pension funding activities. 25, other activities, auxiliary financial services, activities. In the case of Schedule 2, delete the following services: sale of motor vehicles. 19, other financial services, activities except insurance and pension funding activities, other activities and auxiliary to financial service activities. In the case of Schedule 3, under Paragraph 1, in relation to Chapter 17, change sugars to sugars. Relation to Chapter 44, change organic to organics. Delete and exempted goods of foreign customs tariff chapter 49, personal articles thereof. Include exempted goods of foreign customs tariff chapter 49, printed books, newspapers, pictures and other products of the printing industry, manuscript, typescripts, and plans. Replace the exempted goods specified under Part 1, Paragraph 2. Include exempted goods: A. Goods on the tariff headings 4701 to 4702, 19.18 to 19.22, pertaining to medical equipment and parts thereof, and goods under Chapter 85 and other chapters pertaining to security equipment. Mr. Speaker, when Parliament approved the Health and Security Levy, Mr. Speaker, since it was a new tax, we knew that there would be need to review it, revise it, to look at it, to fine-tune it, Mr. Speaker, because we made a point that the tax was not on food, it was not on medical equipment, it was not on medical supplies, and it was not on security equipment. We made that point, Mr. Speaker, and we also made the point that at the level of importation, the 2.5% would be imposed at customs, Mr. Speaker. Since then, we've had discussions with the Chamber of Commerce, and I think that we all understood why the health and security levy had to be imposed. We understood, Mr. Speaker, and we also agreed that the government would make it possible for people who were not given the privilege of being VAT exempt or VAT zero rated. We will add them to it, Mr. Speaker. And I'll come back in a while with another resolution, Mr. Speaker, and where you will see that the government has kept its promise, Mr. Speaker. So what we're doing is a simple amendment to the schedule to include some goods for the health and security levy, which we inadvertently left out the last time, to include them, Mr. Speaker, and to remove some which were included in error, Mr. Speaker. There is no devil in that, Mr. Speaker. All it does, it just looks at certain goods like things like printed books, newspapers, pictures, etc. These things, Mr. Speaker, they are already exempted from VAT, so we have to exempt them from the health and security levy. So, Mr. Speaker, all we're saying is we're looking at the schedule to clean it up. And we may have to come back because it's a new levy. There will be need for changes. We may have to come back when we look into it and we notice what, after further discussion, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to make a point. There's a point, Mr. Speaker, where some people say they don't have enough time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when the Minister of Finance, regardless of who he or she is, when the Minister of Finance stands in his honorable house and he reads a budget statement, Mr. Speaker, that is the policy of the government. And there is no excuse, Mr. Speaker, if you don't read it, then there is no excuse if you don't follow what the Minister of Finance says, regardless of who he is and regardless of whether you support him or not. When the Minister of Finance stands in the honorable house and he reads a budget, that becomes the law of the country. So there can be no excuse, Mr. Speaker, to say that we were not prepared. We expect that from some people, but I do not want to hear that we were not prepared. It came to sudden, Mr. Speaker. That was said in the budget statement that it will be implemented from the 2nd of July. We yielded and we pushed it to the 2nd of August. And we've spoken to AFL who said that some businesses who still have issues will not be dogmatic. We'll give them some time so they can solve their issues. Because we want to help and we want to assist everyone, Mr. Speaker. We want this, but it cannot be seamless because the resolution and the levy deals with hundreds of goods, Mr. Speaker. So there will be times when you have to come back to make changes, Mr. Speaker. So these are one of the times. Ask members to support this resolution.
Okay, so this one still doesn't say the length of time, but it does. The levy was initially placed for 2 years. That information is on the government website. That information is at Inland Revenue. That information is the health minister spoke about it. The levy was initially placed for 2 years. Whether or not we find the actual clip where it is said, and we are still looking, we will find it.
Yeah, eventually.
We will find it because we will not stop looking. I know it's there.
When I ask, if you think it's by coincidence, Tibutuki, I mean the Nigerian president,
to stop us from finding that clip.
Exactly, because just recently, Philip J.P. made that same mistake. Well, he was in the same situation with that $1,500.
Right.
And the clip was presented. So this time he tried to make sure maybe he wiped his mouth before he spoke. But there are still trails around,
Yeah.
Like I said, if you did not say it, okay, fine. Why didn't you go to that institution that which you control and have them fix or just what they say? Or secondly, why did you come back to the house to extend it? If it wasn't 40 years, why would you need to extend it? It's already there without a time cap.
Right.
Or time limit.
Right.
But enough clip you played there, did he say that this bill was revisited to
It wasn't an
remove
amendment.
some of the items that were added there by accident?
Yes, he did say that.
By accident?
So I cannot tell you
Like some people
anything.
say, cheese and bread.
I cannot tell you anything other than what the Prime Minister says. He said that these things were included by accident.
Yeah, that's what I'm highlighting. The word accident. That is not an accident. I mean, the government is not just one person, to say, okay, you overlooked something or you missed it. What they had to they visited it, they reviewed it, they decided upon it, and they said it was added by accident. On top of that, all of that was done before it was approved.
Yeah.
But they said it was an accident.
Well,
so if the entire government could make such a big mistake or such a big accident, we all should be on our merry way doing almost anything without repercussions.
Well, Kola, we need to wrap up the show because our time is almost we're over our time. But thank you very much for that contribution.
You're welcome. We'll continue another time.
Yes, we will.
Take care then.
Yeah, bye-bye. Guys, I'm just going to run through some of the messages on the Facebook platform because we are way over. I don't know where the time goes on Hardtalk, guys. I mean, it's supposed to be from 2 to 4, but by the time I blink, it's almost 5 o'clock. I don't understand why. I guess it's because we have so much to discuss. So it says here, Angie, I think this $1,000 is also a strategy for St. Lucians to pay their medical bills. There are many of them who use these services and can't afford to pay. This $1,000 will all be spent at the OKEU before even spending a dime of that money at Massey. Well, we have one final caller. I'm giving you a chance, caller, but please make it brief because we are way over our time. Good afternoon, you are on the air.
Captain, allow me a second, not too long.
Yes.
Did Philip J. Pierre just say that what is being discussed in the parliament is law?
That was a clip from 2023. That was a clip from July 2023. So I don't know, caller. I don't know.
I think somebody going to is that what is being discussed here is law. So where was the mistake in accident? So there was an accident when they were doing the 2.5% health and safety levy and what it covered. There was also an accident when he said it was for 2 years and revisited it last year, even put it in the Gazette or whatever.
Well,
was there an accident?
But he did
so
say.
So when he said it was 2 years, wasn't it law?
Caller,
that it was 2 years.
Caller, the Prime Minister just said, you heard it with your own two ears, that some things were placed there by accident. We don't know what those things are. We know that he went to the Parliament to fix the accident. That's what we know. That's what he said. Isn't that what you heard?
So the 2 years that he discussed was an accident. Philip J. Pierre is going to pay for that, Maybe. He's going to pay for that. Yesterday, I explained to St. Lucians what this 2.5 and all the taxes and everything is doing to us and the increase in the price of fuel, etc. Where it has gotten us. And Philip J. Pierre is still talking crap. It doesn't matter. Spoke it last year, the year before, but it is crap.
I have a question for you, caller. I have a question for you. Before you because I realize you're wrapping up. Before you leave, what is your take on what we were discussing today? So the Prime Minister said that the policy, the $1,000 baby incentive policy, is being misunderstood by the public, and what he was doing was simply trying to help mothers, expectant mothers, because babies are expensive, 1, and 2, foster mature conversation. That was the
Well,
goal
he didn't
of
say
this
that.
policy.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. Why did he say that in the first place? Why did he say all women who are pregnant, he'll be giving them $1,000 in August? Why did he make that statement and not make the statement that he made today or whenever he corrected himself? As we all went up in uproar and saying it's an insult to women, what the Prime Minister has said, he's coming back and trying to clean up his mess. It's too late now. Philip, if you want people to have children, give them $3,000 a month. Every month to take care of them.
Every month.
Until that child is 18.
Monsieur. What is at least it's a hot pot shell.
It takes care of the child's health, school, shelter, and clothing. 3,000. You're the one who, if you raise the price of gas again, you're gonna have to make it $5,000 a month for 18 years of that child's life.
Caller, let me ask you.
From our Prime Minister.
Let me ask you another question. There was a caller to the show 2 days ago who said that if Philip wanted us to make babies, he should give us a house, a piece of land, and a car. Are you two related?
Possibly, and she's quite right in saying
it was a he. It was a he.
Transport that child to school.
It was a he. It was a he
caller. You have to house that child. You have to clothe that child.
It was
so
a
yes,
gentleman.
She's right in saying that.
It was a gentleman.
She's right. Sorry?
It was a gentleman, not a lady.
Oh, well, the gentleman was quite correct in making that statement. You want us to have children? You want us to bear children like we crazy? And you want to give us a $1,000? And then, his pundits, these hacks are saying, oh, but the government has already given people $600 or how much dollars when they had a child. That is an NIC contribution of what people had paid towards NIC that they receive as a maternity benefit.
Yeah.
That has always been there. Philip J. Pierce is the one who brought that in.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's trying to bring it up to 1,000 one-off payment. What is this? By August, you give them $1,000. So you're not telling women to go get pregnant and they'll get the money by August? What kind of nonsense is this? And then they're raising the cost of everything in the country. And people can't even look after the children that they have already. And you want them to bring more children into the country, and you've made life so hard, and you've made things so difficult for people to acquire the cost of living because of your actions. Because of your actions. The cost of living has risen so much, and you want people to go and have children. Philip J. go and have children. Go and make the children yourself. Go make them yourself.
Thank you for that, caller. We do need to wrap up. Have a nice
Good
day.
afternoon, Angie.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Always a lively day here on Hard Talk, but we do need to wrap up because we're out of time. So let me just run through these things. Somebody says PJP is just trying to stay in power, and there are people that he is keeping poor, and they will say bravo to that. They won't see things could be done differently for them. Somebody says, Angie, I don't know why. Yes. So another is saying, is there something I am unaware of? Did I hear aircraft or spacecraft parts? Are we going to have a space station in St. Lucia? Well, that clip was recorded in 2023. If we don't have the space station yet, I don't think it's coming anytime soon. Somebody says, did Alan congratulate some things in the budget or the budget? I guess some things in the budget. Somebody says, is that a Bible verse people saying there? Oh boy, look soaps. Somebody says, you had the clip last week. Well, I thought I did. Another person says, PJP is just a manipulator. That's why he cannot speak clear enough. When he is trying to disrespect Alan, he speaks much better. Finally, this afternoon, some people in St. Lucia don't know their rights and they accept everything. Guys, thank you for joining me here on Hard Talk. I don't know what became of the clip that clearly states that this health and security levy was only meant to be for 2 years, but every news clipping that we have read or seen on this indicates, and even the government website says that the legislature, the levy was only for a 2-year period. But the clip of the Prime Minister actually saying that, I guess he is so confident this time because he made sure that the clip was not available. Thank you very much for joining me, St. Lucia. Thank you for taking the time out to discuss the pertinent issues and for keeping it clean. See you back here, same time, same place tomorrow. And yes, please don't forget that the leader of the opposition will be making a guest appearance on Newsmaker Live this afternoon. And don't forget, tomorrow at 10 a.m., tune into Hardtalk so that you can speak with the leader of the opposition and Senator Dominic Fede, one representative from each house, as we dissect the budget and take a deep dive into what it means for the average St. Lucian. Also, don't forget Fire FM. We provide all kinds of services, ads for your businesses, death announcements. We do the news at 12. Don't forget to tune in for that. So if you want to take advantage of these services that we provide, for example, ads and death announcements, guys, reach out to us on our Facebook, on our WhatsApp platform, or send us a Facebook message. We will get back to you and we will work with you to ensure that you get the best service for your buck. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Get home safe. Bye-bye.
Firing shot, shot, shot.